Welcome back to the Destiny Global Facebook page, where every other week we bring you a success tip. And every Thursday, you get to meet with Mr. Ken Brown for Coffee with Ken and the various guests that he has. My name is Jackie, and I'm a Destiny Global trainer here. I'm a trainer here at Destiny Global, however you say that. And tonight, I want to share with you something that has helped me in business. And it's really about how to find or how to get more support. I think everyone can agree that we would like to have more encouragement in our life. We would like to have more people who understand where we're coming from and understand where we're going. Well, I have a strategy that I've been using informally for years in business. You see, when I started out as an entrepreneur, September 2005 was my first Destiny Global event. My first profit was 30 days after that training seminar, generated $15,000 in a part-time business that I was starting on the internet. My first year I did $70,000. My second year did $120,000. Now that did something very unique for me. Outside of allowing me to become a self-employed entrepreneur, which I have been now since I was 26 or 7 years old, and I'm 42 now. Outside of allowing me to become an entrepreneur, it put me in a position where I didn't necessarily have people around me that were all self-employed entrepreneurs initially. I didn't necessarily run in those sort of circles. And I found myself needing to look for a different sort of support network, people who understood my perspective, people who knew where I was coming from. And what I unintentionally did was I started creating support groups, and now I call them power groups. And these support groups or support networks was a group of us that had things in common. The number one thing that we had in common was we had an objective that we wanted to achieve together. Now, for me, this was building business and growing income, but it could be any objective. You could do this if you wanted to become a better mom or better husband or better dad or better wife. If you wanted to, if your focus was, I want to be better at homeschooling. If your focus was, I want to be better at basket weaving, you could use this. No matter what, I want to have a better relationship with God. You could do this very same thing that I'm going to share with you right now. And that is be able to develop a power group of people. Even the Bible talks about iron sharpening iron. Have you ever noticed that when you're around people that are positive and upbeat, you feel positive and upbeat? When you're around people who are negative, then sometimes that can rub off on you a little bit. Have you ever felt like, there's certain people in your life, you may love them. Maybe someone in your family, like you love them, but you just don't need to be around that person a whole lot. Especially certain times, you ever felt like, I love him, I love her, I love them, but just the way I'm feeling today, I just don't need to be around them right now. Then that's kind of a negative feeling that can exist in our lives. And we can know who some of those people are. But have you ever found yourself wanting to be around certain people? Maybe they kept you laughing or they kept you encouraged, or it was someone, whenever you have a problem, you can pick up the phone and you can talk to them and they're always there to listen. Well, imagine being able to have more of those type of people in your life, but knowing that they are at the same time, not only are they just a listening ear who cares, but they're an encourager who understands your perspective because they're working towards the same goals that you're working towards in your life. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I think this is incredibly important to do if you're trying to do something that is countercultural. Meaning, if you're trying to start a business, most people aren't trying to start a business. So if you're trying to start a business, then I think it's very important that you create this power group to be able to help you on that journey to start a business, because you're going to constantly come against adversity. If you're trying to grow your income, say you're like, I want to, make X amount of dollars a year, or I want to, become a successful real estate investor, or cryptocurrency investor, or whatever you want to do. If your goal is to create wealth in life, and you started out in life without a whole lot of wealth, and then you can create a power group around you of people who are working to do the same thing, to create ethical wealth in their life and to be able to create financial independence. But I would encourage you to create a power group of people looking to do that, because that's countercultural. Most people aren't willing to put in the effort to really raise their financial status in life. They just aren't. Most people are, we can look at the numbers. Most people are in debt. Most people don't save. Most people don't know how to get out of debt, that kind of thing, right? Most people get into more debt. They don't actively try to pay off their debt, become debt free. That's another thing. If your goal is to become debt free, find a group of people, again, a power group you can create where you're encouraging each other and you're helping each other get out of debt. I think this is a good one. I was trying to think of something that everyone can relate to. if you're trying to get out of debt, you're constantly being encouraged to spend money all the time. Everything from every ad you see on TV to every new car that the neighbors buy, your family on Facebook is going on another vacation. Every temptation to spend is around you constantly. And typically, someone who's working to get out of debt, the problem isn't that they don't have money to buy more things. They have the money to buy some more stuff. They're just trying to redirect those finances to pay down debt, to get out of debt, with an ultimate goal of having less stress in their life and hopefully no debt. But that is so countercultural. When you're going to the grocery store and you're intentionally choosing to spend less money than you have to buy less quality of food or less quantity of food than you normally could, that is so counterculture to most people. So having a power group where you can share what you're doing and share your wins with one another and encourage each other, that's incredibly important to help keep you on track. Because, when your sister comes over to your house and she sees that, your pantries look a little bit bare and she knows you're making enough money to shop, and she's going to start complaining about how your kids are going without because you're stingy, and you're not trying to be stingy. You just don't want all the debt that she has in her life, for example. I'm certain your sister's just amazing. I'm just using that as an example. So if you want to create a power group, I created 9 steps that I have used that I feel like that anyone could create a power group doing these 9 things. First thing you have to do is you have to define what your power group's going to be. Like, who are you looking for? What do you want to accomplish? Like, is it get out of debt? Is it make more money? Is it start a business? Is it is it become a better parent, become a better spouse? Become better at something. Heck, it could be a hobby, right? You could want to, we're getting into hiking together. We're getting into fishing together, right? It could be something like that. It literally could be anything. Here at Destiny Global, I'm assuming that you want some level of success. So you want to find somebody who's similar to where you're at in the journey. The key to this is not finding someone who's already gotten there. That may be someone you reach out to, but that's not necessarily going to be your support person. So you want to find people that have a goal. You first want to define what the objective of the group is. The next thing you want to do is you want to look for the people who you may already know. Now, here's what I encourage you to do. Think about your family. Think about people you go to church with. Think about people you go to school with. Think about people you haven't spoke to in a while. Go through your phone, go through your cell phone and just start scrolling up, looking at the contacts and be like, who am I seeing right here who may want to do this thing? Who else do I see that might want to get out of debt? And if you don't know, you can call them and ask them, hey, I'm looking to create a power group, a support group. I'm looking for people who we can support one another. We can come together periodically and meet and encourage each other. And I'll tell you how to do that in here in a moment. Sometimes you may have to reach out and ask. And by the way, it can start out with just 2 or 3 people. What oftentimes will happen is what can start out as a small group can ultimately expand to a community. Imagine that. That's not a bad thing. First thing you want to do, define what you want your power group to be about. I want to make more money. I want to grow my income. I want to start a business. That's great. Look for who you have already in your life that has those qualities. Number 3, you want to schedule regular meetings. I recommend once a week. It can be once a month, by the way. And it can be on Zoom. It can be in person. If it's local, I definitely try to recommend, if at all possible, to try to be in person. Meet at someone's house. And by the way, it doesn't need to be an all-day affair. If you're worried about it taking a lot of time, what you'll find out is if you do something like this and you're the social person, you like talking to people and you like hanging out, if you do something and it ends up turning into a multi-hour affair, you'll find people who will stop showing up eventually, just because people have lives and life is busy. So sometimes meeting for a lunch on Friday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon, or being able to meet for coffee one night a week or on Saturday morning, something like that will actually help keep it, down to 30 minutes to an hour and a half. You'll have a meeting, you'll get together, you'll encourage one another. And by the way, the whole purpose in that meeting is basically to find out where each other's at, to share resources, to encourage one another. That is the whole purpose of getting together. Here's the next thing you want to do. You want to connect as a group electronically. This is incredibly important. Now, what do I mean? Well, there's plenty of platforms or formats that you can use. What you don't want to do is use some sort of format like, you don't want to create like an email list where you're basically sending out announcements and everybody's just reading it. You want something where people can interact with. There's all sorts of apps online On the phone, you can use Marco Polo, may be a good one. If you're familiar with that, it's kind of a video messenger. That could be a good one. Another one that you could use would be like Telegram or Discord. A lot of young people like to use Discord. I've been in several Discord memberships before, groups before. That may be one. You may know one I'm not thinking of right now. It could be even a group text. It could even be one, right? If you had set up text on your phone, you just add everybody to a group text. The idea being that when you want to share something positive with one another that's going on, you can do that. And you want to sit down some basic ground rules, by the way. I'll get to that in a moment, what sort of ground rules you want to set down. But the key thing to the group is define what is the purpose of the group. So it's, hey, I figured we could all come together. The whole purpose is all of us want to be able to find a way to be able to start business. We're all in different parts of starting a small business. Let's just come together, encourage each other, share resources when we can. What you're doing, and you don't want to say this, but you're creating a bit of a networking group. The challenge with networking groups is oftentimes about what can I give you to get out of you? And that's not what you want this group to be about. You want this to be a bit more of a support, encouraging group, because at the end of the day, I mean, this is a group that when your back's up against the wall, there are going to be the people that you can count on to push you forward. When you're really knocking down doors, you're getting ahead in business. I'm gonna tell you something. When you finally, you are just a few skills away from having incredible success. And I know that from experience. And it can feel like you're a long ways away from success. But when that dam breaks for you and you finally start having success and your income starts growing and money starts coming in, you'll find that there's a lot of people in your life that don't relate to you. There's not a lot of people that you can share this with. I had someone recently that I was working with, and I apologized to him because I was taking up a lot of his time. And I said, hey, I may need to compensate you for your time because I've shared a lot with you and I've asked a lot of your expertise. So I don't want you to feel like I'm taking advantage of you. Please let me know if I need to compensate you in some way. Just let me know what that is. And I was willing to pay the guy, $500, $1,000. True story, because he had helped me with a lot of problems that I had. And he said, in a particular part of my business, giving me his opinion and his experience. And he said, what he said to me? He said, Jackie, it's okay. Like, I don't have anyone to be able to share this stuff with. And I love talking about it and problem solving. And you've given me a chance to do that. You don't owe me anything. And it just told me how different it is sometimes and how we don't, if we're not careful, we don't have that support system. That's what he was telling me. I don't have this power group. You don't want to find yourself in that position. You want to create a power group for you and for yourself. That's what I'm helping you do. So you're going to have regular meetings and you're going to connect electronically in some way. Here's another thing. Inside the group, when you're in this group, you don't want to be critical of other people. You don't want to be in a place where you're trying to tell someone what not to do. For example, someone may come into the group and they may say something like, if you're trying to pay off debt, they're like, guys, I know I'm not supposed to do it, but I went and, bought this brand new outfit today. And, most people in the group wouldn't be supportive of that. It's not a decision you'd make. The last thing you want to do is be critical of them. Now, hopefully you've laid down some ground rules and people know not to come in and because the last thing you want to do is be another source of temptation for somebody else in the group to be like, you know what, I need to go buy an outfit. I haven't bought anything in months, right? So you don't necessarily want to be in a place where you're critiquing each other and you don't want to tell people what to do, what not to do with their money. So if someone's paying off their debt, they're paying off their debt. Don't put yourself in a position where you're trying to tell them what to do with their money and exactly what to pay off first and how to pay it off. If they're paying off their debt, that's awesome. If someone comes into the group and they really do something egregious, I'll give you an example. I was a part of a marketing group one time, and there was a ground rule in that marketing group that we could not promote affiliated products or our own products to each other inside this group. It was a digital marketing group I was in. The idea being that we wanted to be helpful for one another, and we didn't want people to feel like we were trying to constantly sell one another. So if someone ever did, it typically would be a brand new person in the group, would bring something up and they'd say, oh, by the way, I'm an affiliate of this product, let me know. Well, that was against our rules, and that was the ground rules when we joined the group. I wasn't the one running that group, but basically someone reached out to them and said, hey, just so you know that that is against, that's not what we want to do. That's kind of against our rules. But you want to be very careful with moderation. So that's what I'm getting at. Don't critique people and moderate only when necessary. You want people to feel like they can come in, feel like they can have ideas, but you just sit down. I mean, if you have some ground rules, they're ground rules that absolutely go against what the purpose of the group is. So maybe one of your ground rules is, we don't want to be negative in this group. So if someone comes in complaining, if someone comes in, doing some harmful things, to the group, to the morale of the group, then you might want to stop that. Electronically, sometimes you can delete messages and reach out to that person individually. I've done that before in groups that I've managed. I'm like, hey, that's not what we want to. If you got a problem, you can, reach out to someone directly. But then we don't want that public in the group. That's not the purpose of this group. So the key is don't moderate heavily. Don't critique everyone's decisions in the group. Here's another key. You're not the teacher inside the group. You're there to be an encourager. Be an encourager. You want to encourage everyone as much as you can. Help celebrate every win. Now, in the beginning, by the way, these groups can start out quite small. It can be 3, 4, 5, 6 people. Typically, I'd say around 5 people is a good number to start with. But this can grow. It can grow quickly to hundreds. And I've even heard online of groups growing to thousands and thousands. Here's what I will tell you. No matter what will typically happen is you will find people that you're closer to. If the group gets big, you'll probably find, 5 to 10 people that you communicate with more often one-on-one outside the group. You're all a part of the group, you're all encouraged, but you're still, that 5 to 10 people, you're a little bit closer than everybody else. That's okay. It's not necessarily a bad thing. You're all still part of the group. And guess what? Now you have a big power team and you have a nucleus power team. You have that group that's tighter, that's there really encourage you, wanting to see you succeed. That's not a bad thing. So if you want to set up a power team, these are the steps. Define the focus of your team. Who do you already know that has these qualities? Schedule regular meetings. Connect electronically. Don't be critical of others inside the group. Don't be the leader within the group. Encourage everyone and encourage often. Share resources. This is incredibly important. That's part of the reason in being in the group. If you were doing the payoff debt group and somebody says, hey, I found this, debt repayment calculator or whatever on the internet, and they wanted to share that, that would be totally fine and acceptable. That's the whole purpose of the group. If you're working out and you found a motivational video of some sort that motivated you or inspired you, maybe it was one of those, pump 'em up jam type fitness videos that you can find all over YouTube, and it really spoke to you, maybe you share that within the group. If you hit a milestone, you lost X amount of weight, or you were able to, increase your weight you're lifting, then that would be some sort of milestone you would share inside that group. That's the kind of thing that people would encourage, and that's what you want to celebrate with each other. You want to celebrate those victories. Also, outside of sharing resources, moderate lightly. Don't be the Gestapo. Don't be the policeman running around finding out what everybody's doing wrong. No one wants to be a part of that group, and it will hurt interaction within the group. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world where everyone is keeping up with the Joneses. We live in a world that negativity is running at an all-time high. I'll say this as well, because we live in a world, there's a lot of political debate about everything from healthcare to spirituality to finances and everything else. Keep your group on target. If don't let the group get toxic. I tell you to moderate lightly, but you have to moderate to some degree. So let people know, hey, we want to keep this a positive, fun environment. We don't want to talk about, say, politics, for example, unless you have a political group. And we don't want to talk about politics, for example. Or if, we don't want to talk about this topic, for example. Let's just keep this, and lay those ground rules down early, ladies and gentlemen. Lay them down early. If you create a power group in your life, I believe that you're going to see tremendous success. You're going to see you getting results you've never gotten before. You're going to break through barriers you've never broken through before. Why? Because you're just one person. But when you realize other people working towards the same common goal that you're working towards, and you see other people having victories and other people having success in their life, somebody else is making that first dollar in their business, or landing that first big client or that second big client. When you see that happening, that builds your belief on what you can do. We live in a world where self-belief might be at an all-time low. So it's important to have people around you that are going to help build up your confidence and build up your belief in yourself by directly encouraging you, and then by being encouragement by you being able to see what they're doing and what they're accomplishing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be a part of a community that is going places and doing things extraordinary, make certain that you join us here on this Facebook page, here at Destiny Global, where we want to help equip you to be able to succeed wildly. Join this Facebook page. Be here regularly. There's a tremendous amount of encouragement that happens here. And if you want to take it to the next step, join us at our very next First Steps to Success. I want to make sure I don't mess up the dates. April 29th, 30th, and May 1st. You're not going to want to miss it. Get yourself registered. Get there. Join us. It's going to be an incredible time. And you're going to be a part of a community that is looking to improve their life. They're not settling for the status quo. They're not looking to stay stuck. These are people, some of the greatest people on the planet, who are looking to get ahead in their life, looking to better themselves, looking to have better marriages, to be able to grow their incomes, and to be able to grow ethical wealth, and be able to create a level of financial freedom and financial independence that some people can only dream of. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Destiny Global Trainer Jackie O'Quinn. Have a great night and God bless.